What's up? It's me back again, Analog Attack. Once again, chuffed to welcome back. He's here, I think, Mr. Tony Pence.
Awesome. Thank you for having me back, Mike. I love doing these.
How you doing today?
Good, good. I have nothing to do this late at night. It's like 11 o'clock my time at night. So, yeah,
Perfect. So
doing these are very fun. So,
yeah, me too. Good, always a good time. So today's topic is live albums,
live punk and metal albums.
punk and metal. And
Yeah.
before we get into it, a little sort of not rhetorical question, but are live albums like for fans only, or
Mm.
it's like, or can the casual listener enter
I
the discography with a live album?
Yeah, I think there are some records. I chose a couple where, and this might be again a little controversial opinion. There's a couple there where I pull them before I pull the studio records of the time period. So there's one or two where I think the live records actually surpass
Oh,
some studio output for sure. So
there's a
yeah, I
few.
think it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You're first up. What do you got?
Okay, so I started actually a little weirder and not right into the punk and hardcore vein.
All right.
But this record that I chose, it's actually got not a great cover. It's a picture disc also.
Oh,
This is Man or Astro Man, the
great
surf
band.
from, yep. And this is Live Transmissions from Uranus. Ridiculous titled record. But I love this record. I had the chance to see Man or Astro Man a lot of times when they were active in the late 90s into the early 2000s. And this record is just really, like, the playing on it is super tight, and they play their songs a good bit faster than on the studio records. So it gives it this kind of punk energy, which is great. And they're really practiced, and it's not like they're messing up or anything. It sounds great, but the banter and like with both the crowd and with themselves is completely just random and somewhat unhinged, and really it sounds like everyone is completely drunk, and it's just like totally
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of a wild environment. It really comes through on the record, and it's just fun. It's just like a really fun live record.
It is. I saw them in Bristol in England,
Ah,
probably like early, early to mid '90s, and I was very drunk as well. And
yeah.
it was amazing. I mean, I was blown away. They were just incredible. I mean,
Really
like
fun. They have a great sense of humor,
yeah,
and they're super talented. And this record, another reason that I picked it, it has one of the sickest musician on musician in the same band, Burns. Uh, I guess like either the bass player or the singer is kind of going on a bit on
mm.
the microphone, and the drummer says, "Are you done, Macbeth? Let's."
Yeah.
Actually calls him Macbeth for fucking talking too much in the mic. And that burn is so hard, and it's so genuine. He seems so legitimately pissed that they're not playing, and the fucking other member is just fucking chattering on. So sick. That burn lives on forever
That's
on the.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Great
So
band. Great band. I have a bunch of their records. I don't have that one, but great.
yeah, it's really great. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're super fun. So
Okay. So I didn't tell you this, but I sort of imposed a rule on myself for this, and that rule is no double live albums.
oh, okay,
I just
gotcha.
imposed it on myself. It's like my own challenge. Can I do this without choosing any live albums? So I think I did it. And the first one is kind of cheating a little bit because I've got like, okay, this is the first band I ever saw. Really, it's like Iron Maiden. Of course, the famous Iron Maiden album is Live After Death, double
Yep.
album with Bruce Dickinson. But there's kind of a live album. If you piece two records together from the early '80s, you kind of get an Iron Maiden
Yeah. That. Yep.
live
Yep.
album. So this one was only released in Japan and Greece, I believe. I don't
Right.
know why. And yeah,
What
it's recorded. But it's recorded at the Marquee in England, so I'm not sure why it
Huh.
was only released in Japan and Greece. But just four songs, and then Drifter is not like one of the songs is not live. So it's three live songs. 1980 Marquee Club, and this is a genuine first pressing. How do we know? Well, the misspelling, play round.
Oh, wow.
But
Oh,
they
that's
fixed it for constant, pressings
somebody.
after this. So
Yeah.
you'll know if you've got the first pressing because it says play round.
Amazing. That photograph on the front is like, that is like an amazing photograph of Prime, that era, you know, Iron Maiden, great
this is
picture.
1980, so it's kind of pretty early Paul Di'Anno days.
Yeah, he looks really cool on the cover of that record. I don't own that one. That's he looks cool.
But
So.
the Greek one has like more songs on it. Yeah, it's only been like officially issued in like Japan and Greece. I don't know.
Got it. I've seen it before, but never with the Obi. I don't own that one, but I have
say they
seen it before.
With the Obi, kind of not super hard to find, but they're getting more and more scarce, like.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the accompanying, like, sort of make the proper light. If you put that one and this one together, you get this one, which is made in Japan, and then in Japan they added the Heavy Metal Army, like, title to it, which is cool.
I don't think I have a regular pressing, like a US pressing of that one. I guess.
So it's like 4 songs, and I love this. This is recorded in in Nagoya, like 1981.
Oh, that's amazing.
Literally 3 months after I saw them in England. So it's like exactly the same tour. So this is kind of a nice record to have because I saw them.
Yeah. I have some friends of mine saw them in Baltimore, DC area early in like 81 era and took photos and stuff. They were like really close. I saw them much later. I saw them in 86 with Inve Malmsteen opening. I believe it was what tour would that have been? 86. That was Somewhere in Time.
Okay.
Somewhere in Time. Yeah,
nice.
I saw them in Baltimore on the Somewhere in Time tour. So much later. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one, like, it's the opposite. Like, that one was recorded in England but only came out in Japan. This one was recorded in Japan but came out everywhere. I don't get it, but it's like some really, you can see they're still playing in kind of smaller halls. And classic. So if you put these two together, you kind of get a Paul Di'Anno Iron Maiden.
I think it's maybe my friend Dave Wright or my friend Jim Powell. They went to that show together, and they showed Jim showed me photos, and it was just the roadie wearing the Eddie mask.
Oh yeah. When I saw them,
and that was taken in Baltimore. Yeah, their photos were. Oh yeah, is it in there? Yep, there it is.
Yeah. Well, they had a bunch of them when I played. They had like 3 or 4 roadies come on with just these masks and fire extinguishers. That was the the pyrotechnics.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
Flashing back, one of the times I saw Man or Astro Man at the 930 Club, the drummer ran out and showered the crowd with a fire extinguisher, and they were like banned from playing there for like a bunch of years due to that. So I think the bouncers were really, really upset about that. But he took a page from the Iron Maiden book and hit the crowd with the fire extinguisher, and no one was happy. Everybody was angry.
Macbeth with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, what you got next, my friend?
Okay. Next, another odd one, but this one was really influential. I mean, strange band and definitely an interesting record. But this is Chumbawamba, Show Business. There we go.
Wow.
In the United States, this came out. I guess this pressing, One Little Indian put this out, which is like the Flux guys.
Yeah, it's Colin from Flux's label. Yeah.
In America, I heard this first because it was on a CD with like it was like one side was spoken word political talking, and I'm gonna completely forget who it was. I'll remember before this is over. One CD was just political, kind of diatribe, just spoken word, and then the other CD is this with a different artwork. Man, the guy's name is right on the tip of my tongue, and I cannot remember it. But eventually, I found the UK pressing of this, and it's just so charismatic. It's like all over the place. It's recorded amazing. It's pre-tub thumping, so there's none of that. But it's like just like goes from punk to cabaret to like really just like their, you know, I guess this mid period really, you know, era for their records.
But they're real young on it. That's them, right? That they're real young on the.
I think that's just a photograph. I think, you know, it's clearly much later, but yeah, I think they just put a picture of them. Yeah. I think that's them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's a really great record. It's a really interesting live record. If you've never even heard Chumbawamba or wouldn't know where to start or would be turned off by, you know, the ubiquitous nature of tub thumping being in commercials and stuff, this is like a really cool record to get an overview of how they sounded before all that happened. So,
yeah, very, very important band, actually, Chumbawamba, I think. So
I saw them a couple of times, but after that era. I saw them in you know, the tub thumping or whatever. They were still great, and they played all those old songs, and they were incredible. But yeah, there was an element in the crowd of like frat kind of guys heard that song, and so the crowd was a little dicey, but the show was still very good. So
okay, so as we know, when Iron Maiden play every show over the PA at the beginning, they always play Doctor Doctor by UFO, right? That's what they do. Every show, Doctor Doctor. So that's when you know Iron Maiden are going to come on.
Ready to come on.
Doctor Doctor by UFO. So I think everybody knows this record, Strangers in the Night.
Oh, yeah.
I can't show this because it will break my single LP rule. So that's going away. UFO have another live album, which came out like way before this. Live in Japan. This one.
Oh, nice. I've never seen that, but that's the old style logo from the first.
Yeah. Okay, so this is like the UK pressing on AKA Records, and it's like, you know, this is when they were doing the space rock, blues rock. Yeah, so it's recorded in early 70s in Japan. So this is the UK pressing.
Huh.
Single LP, not a double. And then there's the German pressing. There's the German pressing, which has a cool cover too. This is the
that's really cool.
German pressing. Yeah. So it's got Come On Everybody, Eddie Cochran cover, you know, Who Do You Love, Loving Cup, Prince, Kajuku, Boogie for George, all the old stuff, you know, the blues rock, space rock. So this
again, the early different logo, that UFO logo, different than the other one, but still different.
So this is the German pressing. And then there's the Japanese pressing too, which is kind of the coolest, I guess. So hang on, let me take it down. This is the Japanese.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Like UFO landed Japan, live at Hibiya Park, Tokyo.
That is such a
it's gatefold, single LP, but gatefold.
I'm gonna have to put that one on the wall list. That's great. Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, just all the awesome. Yeah, but you know, I think it's an interesting live record, you know, from that kind of probably gets overlooked because Strangers in the Night is such a sort of classic live record.
Yeah, that's a great cover though. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just just a live photo, but it's just got this atmosphere about it, and just the design and everything. So
yeah.
Which you like, British, German, or Japanese? Which is your favorite?
Yeah, that one is like, I mean, great. Yeah, that's cool. Also, just UFO landed Japan.
It's yeah, there you go. So what's next?
All right. So creeping a little bit more into like, I guess, proper punk and hardcore. Okay. This record, I feel like, is very overlooked. This is the one band. My copy is also super beat up. I'm going to show it first. It says Gangrene.
Oh.
Live Without It.
Okay.
Or Without It. My feelings about Gangrene are they're the one Boston band that turned from being like a proper early hardcore band like SSD and, you know, DYS and stuff like that, that when they made their turn to being Budweiser shorts, long hair, metal, like soloing and stuff, they're the only band that feels that it's what they always should have done. Like I never listened to the early stuff, but like this era is like great. You know, when DYS turned metal and when SSD turned metal, I think that stuff is just like maybe fun to listen to, but not actually in any real way. But when Gangrene started doing blow and growing their hair and like pounding Budweiser, this era, they really knocked it out of the park. And this live record, I don't know how well this was distributed.
Never seen it, to be honest.
Yeah, but it is outrageous. The banter is great. It's just all drinking and drugs banter through the thing. The drumming is just like relentless. Just like this record is totally relentless. It's amazing. And yeah, it's just great. It's a really fun record. We get the back cover here.
When was that recorded? Or when did it?
Let's see. Don't know. It says 1990, so that's really, or at least, yeah, recorded in 1990. Wow. And, that's even late for even this era.
Yeah.
Like a more metal kind of era for them. But boy, it is outrageous. Like, it's a really punishing live record. It's super fun too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I saw them like
everywhere
to late 80s in Bristol, but I don't know. But it was definitely a fun show. Yeah.
I feel like they never stop playing. I mean, I've even seen them a few years ago, and there's different members, other than the singer. I think there's different members all the time. And like any of those bands that continue to play regardless, there's ups and downs of like how good it is. Yeah. But man, that record is outrageous. Completely rips. So.
All right, nice. Okay, I'm going to go to a live record by, to this day, one of the best live bands I've ever seen. And I saw them on this tour. This album was recorded at a different venue, or two different venues in England. I don't know. Blackfoot.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Highway song this was recorded in Newcastle and Glasgow on their like 81 or 82 UK tour. Honestly, I mean, they're a southern rock band, but they're so much heavier than like any southern rock band. It's just, they're heavy metal, super energetic, loud, bombastic. I mean, seriously, I can still remember that show. I bought the t-shirt. Yeah, I love this band. It's like, just imagine like a punked up like Leonard Skinner, full.
Yeah, I've never seen, but the other ones do come through the store, and I will always throw them on the snake. The one with the
three, right? The snake, the judge, like the panther or whatever, and then the bird.
Especially the snake one comes through a good amount. It gets traded in, and I always throw it on the turntable. Give it a. It comes through. Yeah, it's awesome. But I've never seen that one.
Yeah,
so
it's like live. I mean, this is one record that should have been a double. It's a little bit truncated, So, but honestly, still to this day, one of the best live bands I've ever seen, like hands down. Ricky Medlock and Blackfoot.
Nice.
Great. Yeah.
All
right, what you got next?
Well, last time we did one of these, you did all the cheating. So I'm gonna do a little cheating. Live records to choose this. I realized that a bunch of the ones that I like were never released on vinyl.
Okay.
Might have been in this case of this one, there was a bootleg, but I don't own the bootleg of it. And I only ever owned it as a cassette, so at least I'm not pulling out the CD version.
Analog, I guess.
Version, which is let's see if it there make it look a little better. Black Flag Live '84, and I love this one for numerous reasons. But one is that the opening track on this one, they do like I don't know, is it 13-minute version of Process of Weeding Out, and it is just like agonizing. People, like through the tape, you can feel the crowd hating more and more, and every time you think it's going to end, they just loop back around and go back at the riff.
Wow.
And feel the crowd of, they want nervous breakdown, they want whatever. It's like, no, here's 13 minutes of Process of Weeding Out, and it's like on some level of like people screaming at like Dylan going electric, where you can hear calling him Judas in the crowd or something.
That kind of Brave New World tour in the States.
Right, you can feel the hatred, at least for that first part. You can really feel it coming off of the crowd, and I like this late era and this Bill Stevenson, Kira, lineup is my
yeah.
lineup of Black Flag. So yeah, I wish they had done an LP version of this, but yeah, cassette and CD is, I think was all that was ever done, other than a bootleg, which I've never seen. So
Right. Cool.
There's this. That's what I got.
Wow, nice. Okay, so it's pretty gutsy to put out a live record as your first record, right?
Yeah.
This band did it. Vardis.
I don't know nothing about them. So
Okay.
ready.
Like new wave of British heavy metal band, like 3-piece, totally raw. There's a lot of boogie in there, but like this is their first record, and they just said, "Well, we're just gonna put out a live record as our first record." But it totally works, totally captures the feeling of the band. Guaranteed, no overdubs. I mean, it's 100 miles per hour. For the time, it's pretty fast. It's really raw, like new wave British heavy metal. There's the live shot. It's like tiny little club.
Oh yeah.
In England, really powerful. There's, as I said, there's some sort of boogie. It's like a really punked up, like Status Quo at times, but like kind of ferocious for the time.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
What do you think made them do that? Like release a live album first? Like lack of funds to record a studio?
It could be. It's on Logo Records, which is a kind of small independent label. I guess maybe just people are like, well, you're a great live band. This kind of like would sum up, what you're all about. Because the next record is so much more polished than this. This is really raw. Like no overdubs. Like
I don't think I've ever seen any of those records. I don't think I've ever seen any come through the store or anything like that. Yeah, I'll put that on my list of things.
100 miles per hour, and it is maybe faster than 100 miles per hour. All right. Okay. All right. What do you got next one?
A record that is more known for its in-between song banter than maybe itself, but both, and that is Agnostic Front.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I think there's been articles written just about the banter, the various things that are said in between the songs. But this record was interesting to me because I guess this came out. Liberty and Justice came out in like 87, 88, and this came out in 88. In 1988, I had really long hair, like kind of a mullet and the mustache. I was like a full-blown, like just Slayer, Anthrax, kind of like heavy metal of the 80s. And we would go to shows, these metal shows, and there was almost never, I guess maybe there would be some hardcore people, sometimes if like Slayer played or something, but we didn't know about the hardcore shows that were going on in 1988. So we went to a show and we got a flyer, and this is the flyer. I still have it.
Wow.
Agnostic Front with Youth Defense League. Pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
And a local Baltimore heavy metal band called Rancid, but they're actually Ransom Decay. They changed like 87, 88. So this is Rancid. I don't remember why they added Decay to their name, But anyway, we got this flyer, and we had Liberty and Justice record, but we were terrified. We were like, see this like angry skinhead here on the flyer. And I remember sitting around my friends looking at it and being like, I want to go. It would not be good for us. And so my friend Dave Brown and some other people I know did go to that show, and they said that the skinheads were literally conveyor belting and just beating on the metalheads and throwing them out the front door. I don't know if that's, a little exaggeration. It's probably not. But so we would not go see them. We were just too scared. And then when this live record went out, came out or whatever, it was our chance to hear, and it was just like super powerful. And both regretting not going and then just also cementing that it was the right choice. Not at that point, and get our teeth knocked out, or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah.
I've got that good record now.
Yeah. Okay. You got
Okay, so I I guess because I'm doing the metal single LPs, people are probably thinking, well, he's going to show No Sleep to Hammersmith next.
Yeah, classic.
They'll be wrong. I'm not. I'm going to show a record that is like this band's kind of counterpart or version of that record. Saxon.
Oh yeah, Saxon. That's fucking
like,
awesome.
Eagle has landed. It's like, yeah. I mean, this record is just as good as No Sleep to Hammersmith. It's similar kind of thing. Just a single live LP, no drum solos, no bass solos, just bang, 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 like 10 songs, all the hits, just steamrolling, like played twice as fast as the studio versions.
It's the best thing. One live record.
The stark red and black cover.
That cover is excellent. Yeah,
it's beautiful. So I guess like this closed off the chapter after the first like 4 records, and then they moved on to like the next album after that. They changed the sound a little bit, but this is like a real good summary. This is a record, going back to my question at the beginning, I would say to someone who's never heard of Saxon, this will be a totally fine place to.
That's a good one to start.
Jump into Saxon, yeah. But then things, if you hear this and you go back to the studio album, they sound kind of like too slow. It happens, right? Sometimes you hear the live first, and then you go back. Yeah, I think like some of the songs on No Sleep Till Hammersmith I'd never heard before, the studio versions. So when I got like the Bomber or Overkill, it's like, God, these fucking songs are slow. It's like, Jesus.
Oh yeah, that's such, the artwork on that is amazing. Just
yeah. And then just like the old school, like 5 live shots. It's got some crazy like liner notes about like how many tons of equipment they were and everything, and all the data, like how many sandwiches they ate and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I love Saxon.
The whole reason.
I mean, hey, think about it. These two are kind of similar. I mean,
yeah, black and red,
so
and dark. Yeah, letting you know what it's about.
You wouldn't get that these days. That's very much of its time. It's like simple, like.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're on this subject. I'm going to shuffle around a little bit and say that this is a record that was the first record I heard by this band, and it's weird because it didn't. So we have Ramones, and it's a double. So sorry, I broke.
This is my rule, not yours.
I'll fix that in a second. Yeah, it's live. It's weird because there was never a U.S. pressing of this when it came out, but it was just UK and. I don't remember where else, but there's a UK and there's a Japanese pressing, which I have here. I'll show it in a second. But this UK was the only pressing up until recently. Just recently, they did a US pressing of it. But this was I don't know how. I mean, I guess record stores, got imports of things. But this kid in one of my classes in high school let me borrow a copy. This might even be his copy that I never returned. So. I won't show him this. But that was the very first Ramones that I ever heard. And like you were saying, it's like they play the song so fast. It's like almost a greatest hits of the first 3. And they play them insanely fast. And then when you go back and you listen to the first Ramones record, it does sound pretty agonizingly slow in comparison to the song, So, and I would also say, like, I would feel comfortable giving somebody this who had never heard the Ramones before.
Absolutely.
Have this as a first. I obviously I love all the later Ramones stuff. I'm not. There's like purists that are like, oh, they only like the first 4 or 5 records, but I love everything. But this is close to my heart just because the first thing that I heard, and I think that the versions on this record are, really, especially for the first album, better than the studio album. I love Leave Home is like a favorite of mine, so I listen to that one, but a lot of times when I want to hear those early ones, I listen to this one first. And so it's interesting with this one, where you're saying the double album and the single album. Oh, the Japanese pressing of it, right? So there's a Japanese pressing with completely different artwork, but only a single album, only a single LP. So they cut, and it isn't just one LP or the other. They actually edited the songs. They just took a bunch of the songs out and resequenced it to be a single LP. And then again, with different artwork. This is I believe it's let's see here. I think that cover for the Japanese pressing is like some version.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure why, if the Japanese label just didn't have enough faith to put out a double LP and they edited it down. I don't know who edited it down or chose what songs are supposed to be off of it, but they did this version too. And yeah, this was really hard to find.
Man,
Finding
I want to say, like, I've never, ever, in 20 years of living in Japan, I've never seen a Ramones Japanese pressing record with the Obi. Never.
This is what happened. I would, I've been like, I mean, I don't live there. Obviously, I'd never lived there, but I've gone like maybe 13 times or something. Every trip I would look, nothing. Like just, they just laugh at you if you even ask. Nothing. And then
I don't know why. It's weird because they were on a major label. I mean, you see the Sex Pistols and the Damned and all that. I don't know why you never see the Ramones. It's weird.
One day I went to Disc Union in one of the disc unions, and I was in the elevator, and I just turned to the side, and it said the date, and it said Ramones sale, and I was like, okay. Went up there, they had like all of them were there. And one, just like, because I don't know that much about how disc union operates, but I suspect that they like hoard things.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Special thing, like they say Ramones sale, well then they put it all out, and if you aren't there when that happens, then you just never see them. You know what I mean?
They do. Yeah.
So I went there and I had to choose. I couldn't afford them all. It was impossible. They were not inexpensive. But I bought like 4 of them maybe, or something like that were there. And again, I've been back many times since then. Never seen another one. That was the only one.
No.
So, yeah,
that's the first time for me seeing that record. So beautiful. Well, I've got one more in the sort of metal thing. One of my favorite bands of all time, kind of, Tank.
Oh, yeah.
I'm cheating. I'm breaking my own rule a little bit. But this is like, it's actually a double LP, but only side A and side B alike. Like the other sides are like demos.
Okay, right. So one.
Out this cover, terrible.
Outrageous.
I mean, this is like total. I don't know, like funny punk, like party thrash.
A Saturday morning cartoon version of
right. It's like Jesus. Like all the other records look so good. It's like, what happened here? But yeah, I guess like some German or Polish. Oh, it's an American label put this out, but it's like live in Germany, 1981. Shell Shock, Blood, Guts, and Beer.
1981. Really that kind of artwork. It seems like that's
honestly. I mean, I bought it because I'm such a big Tank fan, and there's not, much. The demos are on here, and radio sessions, demos, and then A and B are live in Germany. But yeah.
I only have was it Filth Hounds of Hades, and that's the artwork on that is amazing, right? That's
I mean, then go from that to this. It's like, come on.
I know you don't like the funny punk style or visage, but I really have a soft spot for that. Before this we were talking about other thrash bands, and I put Acid Rain, Moshkin, just so corny, but like I have a soft spot for.
All right. Maybe we've got time for one more each. I think. What do you got? Have you got one more, Tony?
One more. This is maybe my favorite live album, maybe not of all time, but like maybe my favorite punk hardcore live album of all time. And it's weird, it's also a little, people normally argue this one as being not as good, but this is Bad Brains, Youth Are Getting Restless. I like this. Why?
This is definitely better than the SST one.
Is, and people will try to argue that to me.
No.
In preparing to do this with you, I re-listened to the SST one. I was like, maybe I'm wrong, you know what I mean? First track, I'm like, no, I'm not wrong. That SST record sounds muddy. Not to take anything away from the Bad Brains, right? You could listen to the Bad Brains on a cassette that was dropped into a toilet and power still comes through. The SST record is a fine record. It's not bad. But this is like a knife. It cuts through so sharp. The playing is outrageous. The vocals sound completely unhinged and inhuman. I mean, every single note is perfect. It's just great. It's like murders that SST record. And I don't know why people sometimes try to argue the opposite.
No, Absolutely true. I kind of the only thing I have is another SST thing, which is like the 10-inch
Electricity.
for electricity. But this one, it's all about this one.
Outrageous. Yeah, the other one, there's a album just called Live.
Yeah, yeah.
12-inch, and it's a very similar time frame. I don't know because I don't have it at hand.
I looked it up, but I've forgotten. I know this one is extra special because I saw them on this tour in England. So I saw them in this era, so it's extra special.
Yeah, it says the Paradiso in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
There's like a part on this when, I mean, even as whenever I got this record originally, but in between, so there's just the right amount of reggae, just a little bit, and they do Day Tripper and Easy Rainbow, and right after that, but before they go into Coptic Times, you hear the guitar plug in, and there's this like burst of like kind of static as he kind of switches back on to the the we're gonna tear it up for this next song, and every hair just like stands up whenever I hear that kind of like static as he's like plugging in the other guitar, flipping whatever switch it is to go from the reggae to the next song, and it's like outrageous. And then they just obliterate for the rest of the record. It's so good.
What's funny, I saw them like twice around this time. Like once was in London at the Astoria, which is a notorious venue with really heavy bouncers. They refused to do an encore. People were tearing down the curtains. They didn't do an encore. And I saw them in Bristol. I think it was the same tour. They came out, and it was going back to that Black Flag thing in a way. They just came on. They played like 20 minutes of just dub reggae.
Oh, and right.
Bristol is a punk city.
They weren't.
No, and but the tension they built up.
Yeah.
And like 15, I mean, I might be exaggerating, but it seemed like forever they were just doing this dub reggae. And then suddenly they did that. And then they went into, and HR was a little bit, I think he'd been down in, Bristol, big reggae town. I think he'd been enjoying himself a little bit too much that day. Like it was a pretty short set. They went off. Everyone was asking for an encore. They all came back except HR, and they did Pay to Come.
Oh, wow. And just they sang or no one sang?
I think Daryl or sang, and then that was it. Finished. No support bands. The whole thing was like less than an hour. I think it was just like crazy. Yeah, that is a great way to end. This is a fantastic.
Awesome. I think one of the best, and I would put this up against the studio stuff. I mean, the studio stuff is absolutely classic. I'm not, shitting any of it, but like, I reach for this more than I reach for some of the other records. This is the studio records. It's just like outrageously good. So hopefully this is like because our list was completely different.
Yeah, that's cool. And honestly, everyone watching, we did not plan this. We did not talk about this.
No. I don't think we've ever even spoken about this record.
No, never. First time. No. That's like the perfect way to end this. As always, a lot of fun. Let's hold up these records. Let's hold these up.
Endorsement.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Tony. So much fun as always. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.